Light years. The first message took 4 years to arrive, and by the time it did, May had almost stopped waiting for it. She was 7 when her father left. She remembered it the way children remember things, not as a whole scene, but as fragments. The smell of the launch fuel from the observation deck, sharp and metallic. Her mother's hand, too tight around hers. Her father, in his grey flight suit, crouching down to her height on the tarmac, saying something she couldn't remember anymore no matter how hard she tried, which was its own kind of grief, losing the memory of the last thing he'd said before losing him. The Hoshizora left orbit on a Tuesday. It would take 11 years to reach Kepler 442b, and 11 years to come home again, if it came home at all. 22 years, round trip. Her father would be 61 when he returned. She would be 29. He knew that. He'd done the math out loud with her the night before he left, like it was a puzzle they were solving together instead of a sentence being handed down. 22 years is a long time, he'd said, but I'll still be your dad at the end of it. That part doesn't have an expiration date. She hadn't understood at 7 what he meant. She understood it later, and by then it was too late to tell him she finally got it. The messages came slow and out of order, and that was the cruelest part of it. Not the years themselves, but the scattering of them. Light doesn't travel instantly, and neither does love, apparently. Her father recorded a message every month of the journey out, time-stamped, sent in a compressed burst whenever the ship's relay swung into alignment with Earth. But the delay meant she received them in strange, staggered clusters. Sometimes 3 would arrive in a single week, sometimes 6 months of silence. The first one to reach her, she was 11. "Hey, Banana," he said, the old nickname, the one from before, and she'd forgotten it until she heard it, and something in her chest cracked open. "It's been about 6 months out here. Ship's good, crew's good. I miss you in a very specific way, which is that I miss the version of you that's happening right now, today, that I'm never going to actually see. You're 11, and something in the world, and I don't know what you look like anymore. And that's the strangest kind of missing someone. Not missing the past, missing a present I don't get to have." He held up a small drawing to the camera, a lopsided sun, crayon yellow, that she recognized after a beat as one she'd made him before he left. "I brought this. Figured you should know it made it further than either of us ever will." The message ended. May sat on her bedroom floor and cried in the specific, confused way children cry when they don't yet have the vocabulary for what they're feeling, only the shape of it. Her mother remarried when May was 14, not out of coldness. May understood that later, understood it even then, if she was honest, but out of the simple, exhausting math of raising a child alone for over a decade, with a husband who existed only as a voice arriving late from the dark. Her mother never asked her to call the new man anything but his name, never asked her to forget, just quietly kept a folder on the home server labeled Dad, Kepler Transmissions, and never once deleted a file, and never once commented when May disappeared into her room to watch an old one for the 40th time. The messages kept coming, thinner some years than others, but never stopping. When May was 16, a cluster of 4 arrived in 1 week. The ship had passed some relay way station, her father explained, grinning, badly lit, clearly exhausted in a way that made her chest ache. "We hit turbulence nobody prepped us for," he said in one, static, chewing at the edges of his voice. "Not the ship. The ship's fine. I mean turbulence in here," he tapped his chest. 14 months since the last relay window. 14 months of not knowing if any of you were even still. He stopped himself, exhaled, tried again. "Sorry, that's not fair to put on you. You're 16. You don't need your old man's dark 3 a.m. thoughts beamed at you across 100 light years." Then quieter. "I know you're 16 right now. Somewhere. I don't know what that looks like. I used to be able to picture you, and now I can't. Not really. And I hate that more than I hate the distance." She watched that one so many times the file's metadata showed more views than any homework assignment she'd ever completed. The night before, the Hoshizora was due to make its final approach back to Earth. 11 years out, 11 years back, the long arc of it finally closing. May was 29, the exact number they'd done the math on together back when she was 7, and it was still an abstraction, a puzzle instead of a life. She sat in the observation gallery at the same launch facility, older now, weathered, half the lights replaced with newer fixtures that didn't match. Her mother was gone 3 years by then, quietly, in her sleep, the ordinary kind of ending that space travel doesn't warn you to brace for. May had inherited the folder. Dad, Kepler Transmissions. She'd added to it herself over the years, recording her own messages back into the dark, not knowing which ones he'd received, which ones were still crossing the gap between them like slow-falling snow. The relay chimed, live signal not recorded, real time, close enough now that the delay had shrunk to minutes instead of years. Her father's voice came through the speaker, older, rougher, achingly familiar. "May, you there? Ship's confirming approach vector. Should be dirt side in 6 hours. I don't A pause, thick with something neither the years nor the light speed lag could smooth over. I don't know what you look like now. I've been trying to picture it the whole way back, and I can't. And I think I stopped trying to guess a few years ago because it made the waiting worse. May pressed her palm flat against the cold viewport glass, watching a single point of light resolve itself out of the dark, dropping slowly toward atmosphere. You don't have to guess anymore, she said, voice cracking on every word. I'm right here. I've been right here the whole time. 6 hours later, the shuttle touched down. A man in a grey flight suit, greyer now, slower but unmistakably him, stepped onto the tarmac and stopped, searching the crowd. May didn't remember crossing the distance between them, only that she was 7 again, and 29, and every age in between, all at once, in the space between his arms closing around her. 22 years, he whispered into her hair. Told you that part doesn't have an expiration date.